That's pretty bad. It's not a good idea to do that. I don't think you should be doing that. You shouldn't be getting drunk and walking home alone. If you're anybody, really, but especially if you're a woman. You know, Bill Gates never, what he dropped out of high school, dropped out of college, whatever. Oh, I can do that. I'm allowed to do that. It's like, no, you're not Bill Gates. You're a little different than Bill Gates. You need to finish your school, right? Like almost like main character syndrome or whatever that's called. It's like if you think you're the main character, nothing, all the plot armor, you have all the plot armor, right? You don't have to deal with anything. So all that shit just doesn't even matter. I hope everybody is doing fine on this wonderful fall Sunday afternoon. I'm actually coming out with this a little later than I usually do. Normally I come out with them at like 10 a.m., but today I'm just gonna wing it, and I'm gonna come out with one a little bit later in the day. It's kind of a Sunday night special, right? If you will. But today I was gonna talk about something that I kind of had a conversation recently with someone that I think a lot of people don't really think about or understand, because it seems like oftentimes when I talk to people, they want to quickly disregard environment and disregard a kind of foregone conclusion about certain things. And I'll get into it in a minute. A while ago, I had a friend who was dating a woman, and he basically would always tell me, you know, hey, Jake, I love this woman, but I don't like how she goes out to the clubs and she gets drunk and her sister walk home alone at night. And she didn't seem to understand why that was an issue, but he knew, and I clearly knew. I told him, you know, straight up, like that's pretty bad. It's not a good idea to do that. I don't think you should be doing that. You shouldn't be getting drunk and walking home alone if you're anybody, really, but especially if you're a woman. And it seemed to be kind of a disconnect with her, that she didn't understand what that entailed. And this is kind of the crux of what I'm talking about here, is that there are people who you interact with who want to deny the fact of reality that we live in, the world we live in. That there is a potential danger involved in walking home alone at night, especially as a woman. These two facts, right? This is something else, you know, there's two facts here that I think she's denying. One of them she's denying is that it's dangerous at night in a city while you're drunk, right? At night in general. But also another danger is that she's a woman, which makes her particularly vulnerable to 50% of the population, right? To men, right? Predatory men who want to prey on her. That makes her more of a target than it would be if you were a man. And so there's kind of this denial from her mind that was the case, that it wasn't, that I should have the right to be able to do that. I should be able to walk home alone, drunk, 2 a.m, and do whatever I want. I shouldn't have to worry about the fear of getting into a conflict with a crackhead, right? Like, I shouldn't have to deal with that. And she's right. You know, in theory, you know, in this abstract idea, in this idea space, she is right that you shouldn't have to deal with that. That shouldn't be a thing that people have to deal with. But we have to kind of analyze the world as it is. And I think most people would agree that the world is dangerous. It's dangerous. There's a lot of dangers out there. So there's this kind of rejection. She had this kind of rejection of almost like a judgment on the situation, of the fact of the situation, and a judgment of her environment. And I kind of had this conversation about that actually the other day, and thought, you know, I don't know why people do that. I don't really know why people think that they can just will the universe to what they want. And I think that people really downplay the ability that your environment and where you position yourself, how much that plays a role in your life and what you're doing. And another example, I had another friend who wanted to get into, he wanted to learn how to be a comic book artist. And he really wanted to get into, like, he was pretty good at art, but you know, he wasn't amazing, but he was pretty good at art, and he wanted to get better, and he wanted to learn how to be a comic book artist and kind of, you know, join that field. My advice to him was to get a job at a comic book store. It's like, find one that's hiring and get a job there, and just put yourself near people who do live this stuff, right? All day, every day. And he didn't accept that. He didn't agree with that. He said, no, I'm gonna do it my way. But his way was kind of leapfrogging a lot of things. He wanted to just straight online try and sell stuff. And I mean, look, you can do that. People have done that. They've gotten good at it. They've been successful with it. But I think generally, if you're starting out with something, you should just ensconce yourself in that thing. And people who have been doing that thing or been around that thing for a long time. Because you never really know what's going to happen, right? Things will appear out of nowhere. Maybe somebody just one day is like, hey, I'm doing my own comic book. I need somebody to help me with illustrations. Boom, right there, you have a job. You're already leveling up. But you would never have known that because you're not in the environment that's attracting those types of people. Your rejection of the judgment of the environment is causing you to kind of shoot yourself in the foot to some degree, because you don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like getting that job at a comic book store. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And because you don't feel like that, and you think that there's nothing to the position that I put myself in, so therefore I can just do whatever I want and I can operate any way I want. And then, the thing is that I think a lot of this is people do see people break out of that their environment isn't completely dictating the way they're operating and the conclusions of the things they want to happen, right? They see it all the time. They see the poor person who lives in a trailer park, who breaks out of it, who doesn't go to school, who skips all that, and he's a billionaire, right? Whatever, and the underdog story, right? And I think that's a big mental block for people, is that they think about and they extrapolate these one single underdog stories that they've heard about. Bill Gates never. What he dropped out of high school, dropped out of college, whatever. Oh, I can do that. I'm allowed to do that. It's like, no, you're not Bill Gates. You're a little different than Bill Gates. You need to finish your school, right? But there's just kind of rejection of the understanding of the judgments we kind of place on things, on your position, where you are, right? If you're in a dark alley, like my friend's girlfriend, if you're in a dark alley, there's potential negatives, a higher risk of negatives happening. You can reject it all you want and act like it's not a thing, but it's a thing. It's going to happen at a higher likelihood in that scenario than it would if you were in broad daylight, not drunk, right? And likely in the similar sense, more of a positive thing, but it's still a similar case where I told him to kind of position himself. Hey, position yourself in a comic book store. If you want to get good at this and you want to get into this industry, position yourself close to people who do this stuff every day. And you never know, something might come along. You might take a cut in pay than what you're doing now. But if this is something you truly want to do, start at the bottom, dude. Ensconce yourself in it, in the environment, and have an acknowledgement that environment will attract people and will produce kind of what you want, right? The end result of what you want. And understand that if you want something positive and you want something, put yourself near people who have done that thing. This isn't groundbreaking, right? This isn't groundbreaking advice, but for some reason, I feel like I come time and time again to people who don't understand that this is the case. You need to, if you want to do something, it's not enough to say, I want to do it, I'm just going to do it, I'm going to just buck the system and I'm going to totally just do it the way I want, like Bill Gates, right? It's not enough to say that. You actually have to put yourself in a position around people who can further that for you and help you and give you wisdom and understanding and knowledge. And I don't know where it comes from. Like I said, I think it might come from the idea of the gifted individual, the underdog kind of mentality, where if you think X about yourself, then nothing, like almost like main character syndrome or whatever that's called. It's like, if you think you're the main character, nothing, all the plot armor, you have all the plot armor, right? You don't have to deal with anything. So all that shit just doesn't even matter. And I think a lot of people kind of have this mentality where it's like the environment and the reality that we live in, this ecosystem, it just plays no role in their lives. And I think that's completely ludicrous, and you need to acknowledge that for negative things, don't be in that part of town. Don't be in that crime-ridden area, right? Especially if you're a woman or a child or something like that. You don't want to be preyed upon by other people. That's not a good thing, right? Contrary to popular belief. And alternatively, for something positive, if you want to further your career in a way, right? If you want to do something that you've never, or you're maybe kind of decent at, but you're trying to get better, well, then put yourself near people who do that thing, who are better than you. I feel like this isn't a groundbreaking take, but I've just encountered so many people who don't realize this. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give me a like, a comment, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And tell me what you thought about it. You know, I just kind of had a conversation with someone about this recently, and I thought, hell, maybe I'll just get on and make a video and ramble about it for a few minutes, you know? Because I do think that it's something that people don't really think about. Like, you should position yourself to be around things that are fruitful and things that will help out what you want. I don't think it's a crazy idea. I don't think it's a hot take, really, at all. But I think a lot of people just forget it, and I think that people need to just be reminded of it. Put yourself around people who you know can help you in whatever avenue you're taking.